Taking its sweet time. There you are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Empower Half Hour. As you can see today, that Darren is not with us. He's currently doing some teacher training, leadership training in Virginia. So we are being joined immediately right here into the studio. We're jumping right into things. Frank and I are joined by our second time guest here on the Empower Half Hour with Dr. Brandon Beck is here with us, author of Unlocking Unlimited Potential. And we talked a great deal at length last time that Brandon was here on the show. And Brandon, go ahead and catch us up. Tell us where Unlocking Unlimited Potential is now. Tell us what's going on, and specifically, what do we have happening for the rest of 2021?
Oh, that's such a loaded question. So first of all, guys, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on this show. I love connecting with you guys. Unfortunately, Darren can't be here. I was actually just texting with him a little bit and before, and his text was that he's doing the great work and he's appreciating the work that he's doing. So shout out to him who's not here. But Unlocking Unlimited Potential has been a journey. Geez, a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, is when I got the contract and the agreement from Codebreaker to kind of publish the book. And so the book came out in December and it's been all great. I mean, it's been a really inspiring thing for me. The career is lifting off in terms of directions that I never really knew existed, partially because of COVID and all these new learning opportunities that are out there. But a lot's going on. There's a lot of things happening. Most recently, the Unlocking Unlimited Potential Stories show kind of grew out of nowhere in January. It's a live show that also drops as a podcast about 3 weeks after each episode. And I'm now into about my 25th or 26th episodes of that. Last week, we just had a Summer Thrive edition, just 5 days of 5 amazing people of just sharing different summer learning opportunities that they're involved in. And it's kind of turned into, from a show or a podcast to an opportunity to just create another platform. And that platform is just another opportunity to share with other people and share inspiring stuff that's happening. And just, we rise by lifting others. I truly believe that. And I think that's really something that's came out of it. That has led to consulting. It's led to coaching. It's also led to a couple online courses that I'm developing, and hopefully another book that's in the works. So a lot of big plans happening that I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about where my career is. And most importantly, I'm excited about connecting with people like yourselves and being empowered to be able to see that, I'm not alone in this journey, and being able to continue this work of unlocking unlimited potential. And the fact that I'm seeing people that are out there reading the book and participating in book studies, shout out to the Breakfast Club Book Club, and just people that are out there that are connecting that I never knew before, and having the opportunity to connect with them because of the book that I really feel like is kind of like a lot of my life's work. And being able to connect with people and hear their thoughts and hear their opinions and say, hey, can you come into our school and can you help us, unlock our unlimited potential by following a lot of the simple steps that you kind of laid out for us in the book.
Awesome. That's fantastic, man. Great work. Well, I know it's certainly been, it's kind of weird to look back and say it's really only been a year. It's gone by so quickly, and just to see how much has been accomplished. This is awesome work. Nice work. Good job.
I think a COVID year is like a dog year too. I mean, it's 365 days, but you get 7 years worth of work done during that year, and you go like, wow, man, I'm 7 years old already. But another thing when I think about you, Brandon, is that we connected early on when you were writing your book. Are you doing anything for the summer camp Codebreakers?
Absolutely. I'm super excited about that hybrid experience. I really wanted to be there in person, but I am actually away on a family vacation that week. But at least that's the beauty of these new learning situations, is that we can all kind of still be involved and be connected. And there's a lot of ways. So I'm excited about that for sure.
Just night, Melissa and I, my wife, we were talking about, it's easy to complain about all the things that we lost during 2020, all the issues, all the problems. There's so much easily you can complain about. But we were saying, look at one of the things that we love is we love music. And to see how many great bands that we used to love that never had a chance and weren't really had any plans of getting back together, but because of quarantine, because of the whole COVID lockdown situation stuff, a lot of bands that we love ended up reconnecting, getting back together, making new music. And so, I mean, there's definitely a lot of positives that came out of it, even though it's easy to find the negatives, a lot of great stuff that came from it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to see a live concert just yet, but I cannot wait because live music is a huge part of my summer, and it's usually a huge part of my family. And so I can't wait to see some live music and to be able to see it on the stage again, because that's, it's kind of like being in person at conferences and stuff like that. It's all coming back around, just coming back around in a new way. And I think a lot of people are really charged and excited about it, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you're a big concert goer like I am, and all of a sudden it explodes, and you want to be safe. So you guys come down to New Jersey. I'm going to see the Counting Crows in August. I'm going to see Eric Church in October. I'm going to see Genesis in December. And I told my wife to settle down. That's enough. I know you like to overextend on my birthday, but we're good. I'm good for the rest of the year. Oh, I forgot. The Dead and Company also in August. So yeah, wow.
Man.
And anytime you guys want to come down, there's an arena I think near you, Brandon, where the Dead and Company play a lot. Is it the Capitol Center?
Yes, it is the Capitol Theater. Yeah, okay. That is in Portchester, New York. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Get a lot of live shows as well. I also live in Tarrytown, and there's a small theater in town that gets a lot of local acts and stuff like that. And, PNC Bank's not too far from the both of us, Frank. I'm just saying.
Look, man, I keep telling you to come down. Bradley, anybody, Melissa, anybody listening? Hey, hurry up.
That was
New Jersey before the summer's over.
On one of our first dates, Melissa and I connected because we got talking about music, and we asked, each other what was our favorite album of all time, and both of us answered with Counting Crows, August and Everywhere.
Really? Wow.
Oh, I gotta go one more step. If we're talking about Counting Crows. Live on a Wire, the live album that they did, I think it was like MTV Unplugged or something like that. That one pulls on my heartstrings.
My wife and I actually, my wife knows the word to every song between 1979 up until the present. But when we were first together, I guess you would say, she was a cheerleading coach. I was a basketball coach, and before the games, I would get the biggest boombox that I had. Back then it was a legit boombox, and hardwired, and play the Counting Crows, Spin Doctors, Collective Soul, all that early 90s.
Around here, we all look the same. I'm already hearing it in my ears, man.
Yeah, I know, crazy, right? I'm gonna have to do. I'll give you some live spots from the show. It's in a couple of weeks.
Now, Brandon, you compose your own music as well, though, don't you? Have you been writing anything new lately?
You know what? I actually play a bit. I play guitar in a group of guys that we create during COVID. A group of friends that are neighbors, just people who play instruments, and then added some friends, and it became a pretty regular weekly thing. And we created a little set list, and we have a few songs that we kind of show up and that we all play to. And I have a 7-month-old at home, and most of my playing is in front of her, and so that gives me an opportunity to do a bit of it. You know what? I'm always kind of writing stuff and composing stuff. Most of the music that I write, I'm not gonna lie, are songs that I use in the classroom. So I'll take a song like "Knock Knock Knocking on Heaven's Door," and I want to continue to remember how to play it. So I'll play the tune, but I'll create my own words to the song. So it becomes like drip, 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 the circulatory system. Big hit, and I have other ones, the song by Sublime, Lovin' Is What I Got. is a song about decimals. So it's called the decimal is at the end. And so it becomes a classic song in my classroom. So music is the way to the soul. It breaks it up. I mean, if I'm feeling, tired, or if my students need a shake up, I whip out my guitar and I'll kind of start walking around the room and repeating like powerful phrases that they need for the work that they're doing, or things that I see. I'll just kind of like in a silly way, just sing it out loud. I mean, in the classroom, I work with 10 and 11-year-old kids. So they're usually laughing and having a good time when I do it. So kind of one way to stay connected to it all,
And what you're talking about connects that unlimited potential that we all have. I'm hearing you talk about legacy. I'm hearing you talk about tradition. I'm hearing you talk about passion, all rolled up into, unlocking that unlimited potential. I remember my first year in college. I went to community college and worked 3 jobs to try to get out of town. But the way I remember the flow of blood was the Talking Heads, Take It to the Liver.
Yeah, same for me. You think about Howard Gardner's like multiple intelligences, I really believe that we all have different intelligences, and we all can learn to utilize different ones, and we can all learn to, appreciate others. And there are certain ones that are more efficient and more effective for others. And yeah, exactly, man. I mean, I can think about 1,000 times. I think a lot of times too, before I go on stage, or before I, speak with a group of educators or anything like that, like to warm up my voice, I'll usually like sing a little song or play a little guitar to kind of to keep it going. And I love to include my songs. I love to include, I did it in the Power Summit, and I usually do it in other ways too, is I like to include some sort of music, whether it be my song or another or a cover, just to kind of get the point across. And I think it breaks it up. I think it reaches a larger majority of people, and just any way that the message can be shared and any way that the learning can be developed is critical for me.
Absolutely. How about traditions? What traditions that you formulated over the last however many years, let's say since you start having being a girl dad, that you could connect to unlocking that unlimited potential? So
so you're talking about with my family.
How old's your oldest? Okay,
I have an 11-year-old.
I said we, but I don't have anything to do with it. We have a 7-year-old, meaning you. And what do they top out at?
I have an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and she's actually 8 months old now. So an 8-month-old. So I'm changing diapers and
love it.
Going to dance practice a lot. I have a strong dancer in my 11-year-old, and a soccer player and a dancer. They do a lot of stuff. So traditions, what kind of traditions? Well, one of my favorite traditions that happens every year is, after the immediate day, that school ends. So that Saturday, school ends on Friday, that Saturday, we go on vacation for a week.
Nice.
That's one tradition. I mean, this summer I talk a lot about traditions. So I do love to travel, and I travel a fair amount with my family. That's something that's really important to us. We go to Cape Cod. This year we're going to actually Cape May, because we couldn't get into LBI. So because we usually go to LBI, Long Beach Island in Jersey, Jersey Shore. So we're, you know how it is, Frank. I mean, Jersey Shore is an awesome place, like 187 miles of beaches in Jersey. So something like that. I don't know if I'm off on that number, but
that sounds right.
Yeah, traveling, traveling for me is a way to disconnect from everything, and a way to connect with, my family. We as educators, and all the people here and all the people probably watching this, we work very hard. We do a lot of hard work, and part of our hard work, it takes time away from our family. It takes time away from those we love. It takes time away from, those opportunities that we may miss to spend sometimes with our family. And that sacrifice needs to be celebrated and awarded. And I try to kind of put things on my calendar so that I have a chance to celebrate, so I have a chance to disconnect, so I have a chance to connect with my family and be present as possibly as I can, because this work is tough. And I call it work, but we get to do it. But trying to continue to inspire educators in what can be a very gargantuan task is a challenging thing. And it takes time, and it takes a lot of effort, and it takes sometimes a little bit of sacrifice. So it's one of my traditions, Frank.
I could give you, don't forget to hit the Cape May Brewery down there. They have a couple really, really good ones.
Done.
But Bradley, are you okay?
No, man. We're like back from the 80s, man.
Bradley's like in the Matrix.
Max Headroom.
So sorry about the video. I'm not sure what's happening, man. It's going all crazy.
It is. It absolutely is.
That's gonna be funny because that's one of those references I would make in my classroom, and my students would have no clue what I'm talking about.
Then you just have a clip.
Although it does make it fun when you do make some totally off culture reference like that, and your students do know it. That just makes my day. Always makes me happy.
There was a period of time when you could reference almost any classic rock song because of video games like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and they would know the song from playing the games, which was pretty cool. Not so much these days. I don't know my daughters are out of those games. What you guys hear anything on that? Because I used to.
Oh, dude, TikTok has done so much for that. I mean, I have students that come in and reference me some song sometime, and I'm like, where on earth did you hear that song? And they're like, oh, it's a TikTok, it's a meme, it's a this, it's a that. So yeah, it's still there, Frank, full circle. And it's really interesting, music, how it really, it binds people together. And music is also, using music is culturally responsive. Like all of our cultures and, the foundation of all of these cultures were built on storytelling. We're built on music. We're built on song. We're built on rhythm. We're built on poetry. So, it's a culturally responsive strategy to be able to utilize music. If you need an extra motivation to do it, we should talk about a little bit, guys. And I think that's, kind of part of my reason for writing the book, Unlocking Unlimited Potential, was the fear that we have inside of us, that self-limiting belief. I notice a lot of educators that are fantastic. I know a lot of educators that are amazing in their work. And myself included, I really work hard to do the best that I can in unlocking the unlimited potential in my students. I mean, that's a huge goal. I mean, it's virtually very impossible or difficult to be able to do that and achieve that every single day, to, unlock unlimited potential in 25 kids every single day, and 100 kids, however many students you work with. So that's the goal. Like, that's the ultimate goal, I say. But I think it's important to really understand and acknowledge that there's a lot of educators out there, and myself included. I have a national board certification. I have a doctorate in educational leadership. On paper, I look like I have it all together. And what kind of motivated me to write this book and to finally put the words down on the paper was the idea that I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to revisit these strategies. I wanted to, line it up with research. I wanted to line it up with research from a wide field of education research and personal development research. And my reason for it was because, I didn't really believe that what I was doing, because I was such a disruptor, because I felt like, an outlier, because I felt like someone who was doing things a little different than everybody being on page 27 at the same time, I found myself, there is a inner battle that we all have to do what's right for our students.
And 100%. And a lot of times, especially at the beginning of their teaching career, you don't have maybe as much empathy as you should for their situations. You being a primary school teacher is just that's so critical in anything, developing from that point on, whether it's what has been brought to light finally, as giving as much credence as academics has been the, social emotional components that we've always preached all these years, but people have actually gotten to see in their own homes, in their own classrooms, in their own Zoom rooms, this mental illness component that they never had firsthand access to in a way that they could explain it, or that they could deal with it, or they could address it. So now, and you say sometimes that mental illness is, wow, you never reach your potential because for fear of getting out of your comfort zone. And that's when you start to realize your potentials, when you get to the edge of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of times as leaders, as the people who lead these educators, and we really, as leaders, we want to make sure that everybody kind of stays on the same page, that, we're all having some sort of similar learning space where especially in larger schools, that we can all expect that when a kid comes from this grade to this grade, he or she is learning X, Y, and Z. And yes, we can guarantee that. However, how is this, as a school leader, how do you empower your staff to take those amazing risks, like bringing a dog into a classroom? Like, how do you, getting together with a group of people and creating a school-wide Twitter chat, bringing together a group of people and creating an accountability system where, they're working together in a team? How do you honor that? How do you celebrate that? How do you make sure that your educators feel empowered to be able to do the great work, the authentic work, the work that is really experiences that are memorable and experiences that are going to help students learn in the long run? They say a lot about like college and career readiness. Like, how about like character readiness? How about like, how are you as a leader empowering your educators to get your kids ready for the real world? And the emphasis on, we had COVID and now social emotional learning is important. Equity is important. Character education, mental illness and mental toughness is important. Well, that's been important this entire time, right? Yes, it's important. I hope finally, they're becoming big buzzwords now, but that's because that's our problem. We should have been aware of that first a long time ago, and we should have been honoring those strategies and those academic opportunities with our students. And the problem is that a lot of schools are kicking themselves in the foot because they're like, well, maybe we did drop the ball here. And maybe our educators weren't ready to have a conversation about some of the events that happened during the pandemic that were related to race and equity. And to me, if we're not, as school leaders, feeling comfortable enough with our staff to be able to go and handle those conversations, or at least providing them with a space to be able to reflect and talk and connect, then we're not doing our jobs.
No, we aren't. And I was talking to a football team last night, and I started off with, you guys are born creative. You guys are born happy. You guys are born without prejudice. And then we adults take you, stick you in a box, and screw it all up. And we just can't allow that to keep happening. And a lot of times it's somebody's doing something great in their classroom, but they are reluctant to share it because it's looked at in a negative way by whomever. But you need to start getting those critical friends back and start saying, hey, check this out. Not that it's not a flavor of the month club, because everything you see and try doesn't work. But a lot of what you see and try does work in a positive way. So we need to get at that out there as a profession. The turnkey training, the critical friendships, the unconditional love and leadership, and that's what you preach. And that's why I like you, my friend.
And I like you too.
Very good. All right, it is time for our final thoughts.
That was quick.
It is. It flies by. It's too quick.
It's the fastest half hour
of your week.
All right, who's leading it off today?
I'll go. I just want to remind people that it is Shark Week. And there's a whole leadership thing about sharks. Sharks never stop. If they stop, they die. And I'll just leave it at that. But 1975, if you were born and able to go to the movie theater and that one scene came, it scared the bejesus out of you. So my friend Brandon Beck, I salute the greatness in you. Keep it going, brother.
I appreciate that.
We'll let Brandon finish up for us. So I'll go next. My final thoughts today. One is that
Lips aren't moving.
I need to fix my video and figure out what's wrong with that. I thought I had things working pretty well.
We can hear you perfectly, though.
Very good. As Brandon mentioned, what really hit me today is you were talking about fear. And I look back and I think of how many opportunities that I've missed, things that I haven't done because I've been operating based on fear of what someone else is going to think, fear of being viewed as a fraud, fear of being rejected for something that I care deeply about. And there's so many things that I've operated on because of that. And honestly, a lot of these, as also mentioned about those connections, the fact that I do have those weaknesses, that I do possess those concerns, and I'm still struggling with them and still working diligently to try to overcome them. The fact that I've been able to connect with great individuals that have been able to help in that process, like Frank, like Darren, like Brandon, the work you guys have been able to do to really help me get past my own limitations, to show me and to be able to be there is, I really love the image, Brandon, that you have on the back of the book. Frank, do you have that book right there? You can show them right there. That's exactly the position that I was in just a few years ago. That I was stuck. I was stagnant. I didn't know where to go, and I needed those hands to lift and to help pull me up and show me what I could do. So thank you.
We rise by lifting others. And that's kind of been the foundation of a lot of the work that I've found myself doing after this book has been published. I mean, Bradley, I was in the same position myself, and it took a lot of learning experiences to get there. And even now, as you write a book and you start to go and you start to send posts out, and I'm promoting selling a book, but I'm also promoting that you look at things a little differently. I'm promoting that inside of you really is something, no matter who you are, there's a story inside of you. And that story is related to the reason you decided to start teaching. And if you lose connection to that story and you lose connection to that why, and you're not aware of your purpose, then you are going to continue to feel those self-limiting beliefs, and you're going to create actions in your classroom or in your school with your staff where you're not being authentic to who you really are. And so the journey toward unlocking unlimited potential begins with you. And in order to educate with that passion each and every day, you have to realize that, hey, I may fail, I may make a mistake, but I'm going to reflect, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to repeat the process. And so that's, kind of my final words. And if anybody's interested in staying connected with me, my socials are right there, Brandon Beck EDU. My website is brandonbeckedu.com as well. But, the greatest thing for me has been being able to connect with guys like yourself and even other leaders, both male and female, and having the opportunity to be able to connect with people and see what they're posting. And my feed on social media is full of such positive, inspiring, and awesome people. And that's what you need to continue to surround yourself with.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brandon. We sure appreciate having you here on the Empower Half Hour, as always. Thanks for your work. Thanks for your inspiration. And thanks for your friendship.
He just bailed.
We're still live. We're still live.
Peace and love.
Peace
Always
and love,
brother.
Always.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Stay fired up.
At least give me a phone call when you're in New Jersey.
I'm coming, dude. It's happening.
All right, bro.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Peace and love to your family.